What is up, Waffle Gang? I do hope you are well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more r/am I the butthole. If you'd like to skip the initial waffle, timestamps are in the description and along the timeline below, but if you are new here, please consider hitting that like, that subscribe, and maybe that notification bell too. Just a huge thank you for taking the time out of your day to be here. You know it means the world to me. Let's just crack on with today's stories. Much love, guys. Now, our first story comes from Informal Collection 1. Am I the arsehole for kicking my wife's friend out of our wedding after she refused to remove a piercing? Oh dear. Backstory is that my wife, 25 female, has a friend, 25 female, that I, 29 male, don't get along with too well. I met her friend while I was dating my wife and we didn't click too well, but we were still friendly and respectful to one another. Unfortunately, a year ago, while we were having a get together, we got into a huge argument and things haven't been the same between me and the friend since. I won't go into details of the argument since in and of itself it's not too relevant, but it was really bad and put us on horrible terms. Nonetheless, my wife still wanted to invite her to our wedding since they are good friends and I have agreed. It was a medium-ish wedding, about 100 people. As per usual, it was formal. That leads me to the next part. When her friend arrived at the wedding, I noticed she had a nose piercing on the side of her nose, and I was instantly annoyed. I'm a bit biased because I do think piercings are trashy in general, but I think anyone is free to wear them, but not at weddings. Sometime later, after the ceremony, I went up to the friend and asked for a word privately. I told her to remove her piercings immediately or she has to leave. Of course, she started acting like a bitch and cursed at me. I remained calm nonetheless and told her she is no longer welcome and must leave. She tried to speak to my wife, but I blocked her and told her where the exit was. She was crying, and after more yelling and getting some looks from people passing by, she left. We were in a different room from where the main event was taking place, so luckily the wedding wasn't disturbed. Obviously there was fallout in the coming days, and my wife was annoyed with me that I kicked her friend out. Since the event was formal, I think it was appropriate to remove any piercings. Someone I know has tattoos, and he even covered them up. I might be the arsehole for kicking the friend out without my wife's approval, but I did give her a chance to remove the piercings and she refused to do that simple task. Oh my god, how are you not going to be the arsehole in this situation? I always try to think of ways to play devil's advocate, but I just cannot think of a way. I'm afraid you are the trashy one in this situation. What she does with her piercings or tattoos or anything in this wedding party has nothing to do with you. You are the arsehole in this situation, and we'll go straight to the comments because I imagine they're going to be spicy. And we're starting off with fake Mona Lisa saying, "You're the arsehole. So, how badly do you want to fuck this woman and how harshly did she reject you? Because I cannot imagine any other circumstance where a man would be so hyper-focused on something so small and insignificant after literally just getting married. How embarrassing for your wife that instead of being in the moment, happy for being surrounded by 100 of your closest friends and family during a pandemic, you fixated on a piece of jewelry in another woman's nose to the point where you just had to make a scene over it. That's what was on your mind right then. This is the thing that's most important to you. Someone's nose ring. Yikes." And Blue Winged Yoshi says, "You're the arsehole. It's 2021. Piercings are pretty normal. The issue is that you don't like this person and took it upon yourself to kick her out despite your wife wanting her there. Classic arsehole behavior." And Crowley Cross Jesus says, "You're the arsehole. First off, your behavior is far more trashy than any piercing could ever be. Secondly, it's pretty clear why you and the friend don't get along. It's because you are a controlling and judgmental arsehole. Thirdly, piercings are appropriate for formal events and always have been. Fourthly, you had no right to kick your wife's friend out. This is petty, spiteful, childish behavior." And Snoo Foxes says, "You're the arsehole massively. I hope your wife gets a nose piercing just to spite you." Now, I turn this one to you guys. What would you do in this situation and what do you think of it? Let me know in the comments below. Now, just a warning for you guys as well. Well, this story touches on miscarriage, so if you'd like to skip, timestamps are in the description and along the timeline below, so please feel free to use them. Thank you. And our next story comes from Bizarre Bumblebee. Am I the arsehole for reporting my autistic co-worker to HR for snooping on my phone? My dad recently went to jail. He'd be there for a very long time, so obviously my mental state hasn't been great. I've been having to take care of all of my dad's stuff so he doesn't get screwed over when he eventually gets out, like his storage unit, his car, his bank account, etc. My co-worker is autistic, relevant, and she noticed that I haven't been my usual bubbly self, her phrasing, lately, and kept asking me what's wrong. She kept on asking if there was something wrong with the baby. I'm 4 months pregnant and she is like obsessed with my child. She doesn't know how to keep her mouth shut about anything, so I told her I had some personal stuff going on that I didn't want to get into. She kept on pushing and saying stuff like, "You could talk to me if you're having a loss, I've had them before, and if you're going to need some time off, let me know beforehand because I have plans this weekend." I finally had enough when I got up to use the restroom, and she asked me if I needed a pad because loss can be messy. I told her to stop assuming there was something wrong with my baby and to leave me alone because we are not friends and this isn't any of her business. She told me that it wasn't fair for me to hide what's going on from her because not knowing what's going on is one of her triggers and she needed to know because whatever is going on with me could mess with her routine. I was so frustrated and I had to pee so bad that I just left. I was in such a hurry to get out of there that I left my phone on the counter. When I got back, this hoe was on my phone scrolling through my messages. I was just so angry at this point I walked up to her and snatched my phone out of her hands. I asked her what the hell she was doing and she told me she had a right to know why I was acting so gloomy and secretive because my attitude affects her work environment and she had to make sure the baby was okay because not knowing was making her feel sick. She said I should have been more considerate of her disability because I knew hiding information from her was going to trigger her. I told her that this was not okay and she's not entitled to know what's going on in my personal life, and I left to go to HR and reported her. Now she's upset because she's gotten her second formal warning and one more and they'll fire her. I feel like what I did was right because she had no right to invade my privacy like that, but my fiance and my friends are saying that I should have been more understanding because she has a mental disability, and I knew that not telling her was going to be one of her triggers. Am I the arsehole? I'm not responding to a lot of comments because there are just so many, but I'm trying to answer all the questions and I'm reading all of the comments. And we will start off with MagJoy72 saying, "Not the arsehole. This girl needs to learn professional boundaries. Her handicap is not your problem and she's using it as an excuse. She's going to start bouncing from job to job unless someone in HR doesn't sit down with her and explain work relationships are not friendships." And Son of a Gunderson says, "Not the arsehole, but holy shit. How is this person not fired yesterday?" And Comfortable Hotel says, "I'm going with not the arsehole. Yes, I get she has autism, but it sounds like she's using it as an excuse to cross boundaries. If she were truly unable to avoid prying into someone else's business, she shouldn't be working where she is. Your fiance and friends are wrong here. Having a coworker with autism does not mean you give up your right to privacy, though you might want to put a coded lock on your phone from now on." And Almost Infinity says, "I'm still reeling over the fact that she assumed you were miscarrying. That is beyond grossly inappropriate in any setting and even worse in a professional one. Not the arsehole." And Elephant Reasonable says, "Not the arsehole, you 100% should have reported that behavior and you shouldn't feel bad about it. As someone who is neurodivergent, it can be hard to deal with not knowing something or with a persistent thought, but that's not something that should ever spill over into the workplace." And now I turn this one to you guys. What do you guys think of this situation? Let me know in the comments below. And our next story does have an update after it, so again, please feel free to use the timestamps in the description below. If you'd like to skip straight to the update, we will mark it below. So the first part is called, "Am I the arsehole for being upset at my SO for being friendly with my high school bully? Me, 26 male, and my girlfriend, 26 female, met in high school. We became really good friends. She was basically my only friend in school and decided to go to the same university so we wouldn't drift apart. When we were in university, I finally asked her out and we started dating since. To sum up my time in high school, it was an awful time. I was very lonely, introverted and quiet both in high and middle schools, so I was prone to getting bullied. I was mostly heavily bullied by this guy, let's call him Lewis, and his group of friends. He would poke fun at my eye condition, intentionally embarrass me and make me uncomfortable in front of everyone, call me all kinds of names, and just made my life in school hell. This was majorly traumatizing because school was supposed to be a safe place for me, because I was getting emotionally abused by my shitty family at home, but he ruined any chances of it being a safe place by making every day horrible. My girlfriend was aware of the bullying situation at the time, and when we became closer friends, she always comforted me about it and sympathized with me when I vented about it. She agreed that they were cruel for no reason and I didn't deserve it at all. Told me she hated them for hurting me like that. Fast forward to now. And what the problem actually is, we were out together walking the dog and I told her I'd jog to a nearby store real quick, pick up some cigarettes and come back while she stayed at the park. When I was walking back, I noticed her talking to someone from a distance. She seemed to be all cheerful and laughing. They talked for a bit and he walked away in the opposite direction. So I came up to her and asked her what's up. She nonchalantly smiles and tells me it was Lewis from high school. My heart sank, not gonna lie. I awkwardly chuckled and said, "Whoa, you seriously that happy talking to that guy?" She says sure. I told her, "You remember he was the person that basically made my life hell in high school, right?" She told me, "Yeah, I remember, but I'm sure he has changed and he seemed really sweet. Come on, don't be like that." I got pretty mad at that point and didn't say anything. She notices the awkward silence and says, "Oh dude, come on, do you seriously still have a grudge against him? I thought you would have gotten over it by now." Holy shit, that felt like a knife through my stomach. It's not that fucking easy to get over years of trauma that sabotaged my self-esteem and confidence. It was so hurtful to hear that coming from her, especially because she was my rock during the times I was getting abused by everyone at school and home. I don't still hate the guy and his friends after all this time has passed, or want them to suffer or whatever, but it's not easy to all forget what they did to me. Sure, maybe they changed for the better, but seeing her talk to him so cheerfully and tell me about it made me die inside. Am I the arsehole for this? Now this is definitely going to be a not the arsehole from me, because as many of you know, I've been through a similar situation in terms of bullying. I was bullied in my high school, ruined my last 2 years, ruined my GCSEs, and you know, it's still there to this day. People say get therapy for it. I probably should, not going to, don't worry about it. Those people who bullied me still pop in my head every once in a while. I still can picture everything that happened during those days. I can tell you every day, I can tell you specific lessons and times it happened. So I totally sympathize with OP in this situation, and seeing his girlfriend talking to a bully, I can get the feelings that OP might be feeling at that time. So I can't outwardly call you an arsehole for that, but I do for the question itself, are you the arsehole for being upset at your essay for being friendly with a high school bully? I kind of look at this in, what did you expect your SO to do in that situation? I know you didn't like seeing the conversation, and it sounded like it was just a polite passing conversation. Did you expect your girlfriend to go crazy and say, "Oh, I'm not talking to you, you bullied him all those years ago, blah blah blah"? I don't think I would expect my partner to do that as well. And friendly conversation and then moving on, and then discussing your feelings with her afterwards and how he made you feel seeing him again would be the right way to go about it, rather than blame your SO for it. But then it got to the line from your SO which said, "Oh dude, come on, do you seriously still have a grudge against him?" And then your girlfriend is the arsehole for that. So it's a whole mixed bag of different judgments in that one post, and these are just my opinions. Obviously I don't think I'm right in this situation, always happy to be educated on these matters, because I simply don't like bullies, and that's the way it is. So I have a very biased view towards it. And we'll cover a couple of the comments. Let's cover 2 comments and then we'll move on to the update. So Fallible Fantasy says, "Not the arsehole. No matter what everyone is saying in the comments section, you are not the arsehole. It's normal for you to be taken back, having to witness your girlfriend being friendly with your abuser. In fact, you weren't even being rude about it to your girlfriend. You merely asked and then stayed quiet when she responded. While I understand it's not like she could have cussed him out that day, she was just being polite. She literally invalidated your feelings. You don't tell a victim to get over their abuse, or even presumed that they should have gotten over their abuse. You are not overreacting. She's the arsehole, I'm sorry." Edit. Let me just add by saying that my sister was relentlessly bullied in primary school. Even though it happened a long time ago, she still hadn't hit puberty. The effects from those several years of being bullied still impact her to this day. If I were in your girlfriend's situation, I'd probably be polite, but not to the extent that I would exchange socials with them like she did. And I most definitely won't get defensive like your girlfriend did. Edit 2. I've said this somewhere in the comment section, but I'll add it here anyway. I don't know OP's girlfriend personally, so I'm not going to sit here saying that she's a horrible person. It's just that in this specific instance, in my opinion, she was the arsehole. I genuinely hope that OP and his girlfriend are able to sit down and have a conversation about this. And I wish OP well, because I know healing from trauma is not easy, no matter how many years have passed. Edit 3. Hopefully this will be the last edit I will ever make, but we all process trauma differently. Healing from trauma is not one size fits all. None of us get to decide how one heals from theirs. Thank you. And Marmalade says, "Not the arsehole. People never forget how you make them feel. And people who say things like bullies can change, while correct, are failing to recognise that the change that these bullies show gets to be experienced by others firsthand, not you. What I mean is, if I meet someone for the first time and they seem wonderful, and I find out that they were a bully in their past, I don't have to necessarily reconcile much, as I only know who they are now. When someone knows the past, that's all they know, and it's not a victim's responsibility to learn whether the abuser has changed or give them a chance. And yes, if I had been relentlessly tormented by someone at some point, I would expect my partner to be supportive and not put up with that person, just as I do from my partner. I have a feeling a lot of people who defend bullies here were also shitty in their past and don't like wrestling with the notion that their actions may have had permanent effect on someone. Bullies get to walk away from their behaviour much of the time. Victims have to carry it with them. And that is so true. But now we're going to move on to the update post. So update, am I the arsehole for being upset at my SO for being friendly to my high school bully? My other post in this sub got a lot of comments. I wasn't expecting to receive much attention, but I appreciate everyone commenting and giving me advice. A lot of the comments made me feel very understood and valid. I thought I should post a follow up since tons of people saw the other post and probably curious about what happened. Basically, everything was kind of tense between us after we went home yesterday. When I woke up next morning, my girlfriend told me we needed to talk, and I agreed. I was going to ask her first, but she beat me to it. She asked me if I was still upset about yesterday, so I told her that I was, and explained that hearing "he's a sweet guy" from her was really painful, especially when she knew about the stuff he did to me. I told her that being friendly like that towards people who tormented me wasn't something I accepted, and obviously explained that her "get over it" comment was out of pocket and unnecessary. I told her how him becoming a better person was kind of irrelevant to me because no matter how much he changed, the consequences of his actions will still stick with me. She listened to me explaining and she started crying in the middle of it, and she said she was incredibly sorry and that she didn't think too much of it at the moment and failed to consider my feelings. She said after I explained it from my point of view, she realised she was being an arsehole and it was a stupid assumption that the trauma would go away over time and I would forget about it. We understood where each of us were coming from, and I forgive her. She was very genuine about it. I know she's not a malicious person and wouldn't want to intentionally hurt me, even if it did hurt. There was a bunch of people telling me to break up with her in the comments, and I see why to some other people this would be a complete deal breaker, but in my opinion, relationships obviously come with their ups and downs, misunderstandings, conflicts like this one, so I want to forgive her for this and move on, especially when she realised what she did was wrong and apologised. If she hadn't, it would have been a completely different thing. She told me she doesn't want to keep in contact with him after this and doesn't care about him at all. Even told me she wants to block him on the socials they exchange, and I said that it was up to her. So far, everything seems to be okay, and I feel like this helped our relationship in terms of setting boundaries and respecting them, and I'm glad we're able to talk it out. I want to thank everyone under the post that commented and gave some good advice sent towards PM me to support, and those that PM me to say not so nice things they were too scared to comment publicly. You guys are all awesome. Thank you. And a positive update in the end. I do love it, and I think it was the best possible outcome that she understood his feelings, she validated them, and they're moving forward with their relationship. And it would have been something completely different if she still downplayed OP's feelings in this, I think. So yes, good one. And our next story is from Throwaway Accounts. Am I the arsehole for not allowing kids to trespass just because their mum is mentally ill? My girlfriend, 25 female, and I, 29 male, moved into our first house together in November. Our neighbours to the left are an elderly couple, and to the right is a family with 4 kids. I'd guess the eldest boy is about 10 years old. As we moved in at the beginning of winter, nobody was really using their gardens. It's warmed up over the last couple of weeks though, and these kids are out playing. Great. I'm glad they're getting some fresh air and having fun. Then a ball came over the fence into our garden, and as I headed out to throw it back over, the eldest lifts up the fence panel and comes under to get the ball. I said, "Hi mate, can you not come into the garden without permission? Just knock and I'll throw the ball back over." The child gives me the middle finger and dashes back under the fence. Not nice, but I think he's been told. Then I saw the ball come over again about 20 minutes later and saw the fence panel lifting. So I dashed out, pushed it back down, leaned over and said, "I've already asked nicely. Now do not come onto my property again or I'll be keeping the ball." The boy said, "Fuck off, I'm allowed, I'm getting my dad." I'd already met the dad, John. He seemed alright, but he doesn't come out. The mum comes out screaming, "How fucking dare you threaten my son? I'm reporting you, I'm reporting you, I'm reporting you." Every time I tried to speak, she just repeated that she's reporting me. In the end, I just chucked the ball over and said, keep it in your garden then. Since then, we've spoken to John, who has begged us just to let them come and get the ball when it comes over. His wife has, undisclosed to us, mental health issues, and they went through this with the last owners, who just gave in after she called the police on them. I don't want to, and nor does my girlfriend. Here's the kicker we don't exactly like to talk about. We like to be nude when it's warm enough in our own home. The back of our house is our living room, and the big reason we bought this house is for the big old floor-to-ceiling windows in this room. We love the light it lets in. We're not willing to give up our lovely bright space with curtains or blinds, nor our happiest nude state. But obviously, we don't want kids popping up in the garden and seeing us. We are getting cameras put up facing into our garden to record when this happens again, should the matter go legal, which we have informed John of. He called us a pair of arseholes and told us to get ready for a shitstorm, because his wife will not let this go. Are we arseholes for not giving in? And I guess causing John problems with his wife. Now, this is going to be a clear, not the arsehole, because again, it's your property here, and they're trespassing on your property. Her mental health doesn't really come into trespassing on your property, I'm afraid, and that's just it. But I did like the story, those cheeky little shits. And Capybara Friend says, not the arsehole, I'm confused. It's your property, so how could you possibly be wrong? And that Fly Guy says, not the arsehole, don't give in. And if I was you, I'd record any interactions you have with them to cover yourself. I'd also fix the fence panel to not allow them into your yard. And Curiously Cantaloupe says, not the arsehole, mental illness doesn't give anyone the right to trespass. What the fuck? Let the police be called. They probably know this woman already. And Bookish says, not the arsehole, you're entitled to privacy on your own property, and your neighbours are raising at least one child to be an obnoxious little shit. I think it would be a good idea to get a fence company to come out and secure your fence panels so they can't be raised, post no trespassing and under video surveillance signs in your backyard, and file a report preemptively with your local police about the issue. That way, your crazy neighbour lady doesn't try to escalate, you're well covered and she has no basis for a complaint. Let John know how it is and advise him that his wife issues are not going to be your problem, so he best figure out some way to stop her from causing trouble. And now I turn this one to you guys. What do you guys think of this situation? Let me know in the comments below. Now, once again, guys, thank you for being here today. I hope you did enjoy today's stories. And if you did, you know what to do. Hit that like, that subscribe, and maybe that notification bell too, as it massively helps out our channel. And if you want to support the channel further, you absolutely can, but never any pressure to do so, of course. You can click that join button down below for YouTube, or click the link in the description for Patreon and join in up there. It is very much appreciated. And with that being said, I will see you in the next one. Take care, guys. Much love.